and welcome back to class number 7 of the Master Key System. This is Dr. Lieven speaking to you for the VIP team. In this 7th class, we're going to address 6 paragraphs, paragraph 34 through 39, and as we typically do, we're going to first listen to these paragraphs, then we're going to chop it up and come to understanding, asking the questions, what is he really saying here, and there, filling in an example, so to then listen to it again and be able to prove to ourselves that we have gained additional understanding, additional knowledge between the first listening and the second listening, usually no more than about a half hour apart, which truly proves how in a half hour of your life, how you can transform your knowledge from limited knowledge to expanded knowledge, or from superficial knowledge to deeper knowledge. Let's get going and listen first to the recording of paragraph 34 through 39. The universal mind is the life principle of every atom which is in existence. Every atom continuously is striving to manifest more life. All are intelligent and all are seeking to carry out the purpose for which they were created. A majority of mankind lives in the world without. Few have found the world within. And yet it is the world within that makes the world without. It is therefore creative, and everything which you find in your world without has been created by you in the world within. This system will bring you into realization of power which will be yours when you understand this relation between the world without and the world within. The world within is the cause and the world without the effect. To change the effect, you must change the cause. You will at once see that this is a radically new and different idea. Most men try to change effects by working with effects. They fail to see that this is simply changing one form of distress for another. To remove discord, we must remove the cause, and this cause can be found only in the world within. All growth is from within. This is evident in all nature. In every plant, every animal, every human is a living testimony to this great law. And the error of the ages is looking for strength or power from without. The world within is the universal fountain of supply, and the world without is the outlet to the stream. Our ability to receive depends upon our recognition of this universal fountain, this infinite energy of which each individual is an outlet, and so is one with every other individual. The universal mind is the life principle of every atom which is in existence. Every atom is continuously striving to manifest more life. All are intelligent and all are seeking to carry out the purpose for which they were created. So the building blocks of our existence, the atoms that build the molecules. Your body is built of atoms that are combined in molecules. The molecules in group form the organs or the substances in your body. So the universal mind is the life principle of every atom which is in existence. It's the law of every atom in existence. The atoms in your body, the atoms in your house, the atoms in the plants, in the animals. And every atom is continuously striving to manifest more life. That's the mission of an atom, to manifest, create more life. All atoms are intelligent, and they're all seeking to carry out the purpose for which they were created. If they're meant to be a liver cell, that is their task, to be as a liver cell, to fulfill the function as a liver cell, and then to create more liver cells. A majority of mankind lives in the world without. Few have found the world within, and yet it is the world within that makes the world without. It is therefore creative, and everything which you find in your world without has been created by you in the world within. This is so important, because the contrast of not knowing this truly is the cause of all misery, confusion, and poor capacity to create things. Because the majority of the people live in the outside world, and they believe that that is where the action is what we see, what we touch. Few, and this is still true today, it was written over 100 years ago, but still today, few have found that world within. Even when they have found it, they're so often unwilling to explore it or to do the discipline as you are doing. You are one of the few exceptions, willing to put in the effort and the discipline to come to know that world within. Because it is in that world within that makes the world without. Anything on the outside is made inside of you. It is therefore creative. That world within is creative. Your mind within is creative. Your consciousness within is creative. And everything which you find in the world outside has been created by you in your inside. And again, absolute everything. Everything on the outside has already been created by you on your inside, in the world within you. Now I want to bring up a point here which I remember was brought up by Joe Vitale, Dr. Joe Vitale, who was in the movie The Secret. And when I met him in Austin, Texas at one of his seminars, he explained that it's very important to realize that this law of causation is at work at all times. See, all of this is working with your awareness or your knowledge of it, or equally so if you're not aware of it. Becoming aware of it, learning about it, is so that you can take control of it. So whatever conditions you have on the outside, if you do not like the conditions, not with guilt, but with a learning and discovery process, come to realize that these conditions on the outside are the result of you having had wrong thinking, scattered thinking on the inside. And again, not with blame, not with guilt. It is, we do this unconsciously, and so therefore we should not be blamed. But now that you're discovering about this, now you can take charge and you can take inventory. You can look. People sometimes wonder, what should I wish for? What should I want to create? Well, take a look in your life and see. If you're happy with what you see, wonderful, keep that up, don't change that. I mean, let these things be there, but you look at the things that you would like to significantly improve, or you look at the things that you do not like at all, and you begin to let that inspire you to define what it is that you do want, so that you're not going to try to change it there in your life, in the physical world. You're going to go into your inner chamber, into that quietness, when you're sitting on your chairs with your eyes closed. That is where you're going to do the construction of the better things you want, or the new things you want, or the expanded things you want. So it's happening whether you realize it or not. Isn't that powerful? And that is the typical characteristic of any universal law. Much like gravity. Gravity works whether you believe in gravity or not. People think this is all the power of positive thinking. No, it is not. This is law that is at work whether you believe it or you don't believe it. However, if you want to be skilled in defining outcome, you do need to become aware, much like the helicopter pilot who wants to definitely study the law of gravity and wants to see the applications of the helicopter and the different propellers, the wind conditions, and all the factors that allow him to do a decent job in flying that helicopter. When it reminds me, I saw several times when I was living in the Caribbean, a helicopter land on a yacht, and here you have, yachts of $5 million, $10 million, $15 million, $50 million, and there comes a helicopter, and he's supposed to land on this small pad. Any deviation from doing it accurately, not only is the helicopter pilot going to destroy the helicopter, he's going to destroy this phenomenal piece of estate on the water. He's going to destroy a yacht. So it has to be done accurately. Well, he can only execute or exercise that kind of accurate result if he is knowledgeable in the laws of gravity and all of its interactions with that. And this is what we are doing here, is in order to make you a precision pilot, so you can navigate the things that you want in your life. You can create the things in your life with the precision that you would like to have them. For that, you do need to come to know these laws, and then you need to know how to interact with these laws. Exciting, isn't it? This system will bring you into a realization of power which will be yours when you understand this relation between the world without and the world within. The world within is the cause, the world without the effect. To change the effect, you must change the cause. Can you see where people that are living on the outside and are convinced that that is where it's at, that they're missing the boat? Because you, the student now of the mind within, the world within, through the master key system, it will bring you into realization, making it real, making it of substance, realization of the power which is going to be yours when you understand. What do you need to understand? The relation between the world without and the world within. The world on the outside, the world on the inside. When you understand that, then you're able to create with precision. Because the world within, the world on the inside, is the cause. And the world without, on the outside, is the effect. To change the effect, you must change the cause. If there is anything in your life you would like to change, you must go to the cause, not the effect. Don't we know this from medicine? Why is medicine failing so much with some of the great agonies like cancer? Is because they fail to go to the cause. They're treating the effect, and often in a very destructive way. You have, if you want to change the cause, you have to change the effect. You will see at once that this is a radically new and different idea. Most men try to change effects by working with the effects. Isn't this what medicine, modern medicine, is trying to do? Changing the symptoms by working with the symptoms. And that is because they don't realize about this radically new and different idea. They fail to see that this is simply changing one form of distress for another. Or in the same sentence, they fail to see that this is simply changing one form of disease for another. I originated and founded and managed one of the top 10 most busiest and most successful natural health clinics in Europe. And I don't say that pretentiously. The results that were achieved truly were all the result of interacting with that universal power. I was releasing the healing capacity that is inside and inherent in each individual. But in my clinic, I often shared with my patients this analogy of, Doctor, I have pain, can you please fix it? Now, in a case of an emergency, I'm all for that. But otherwise, know if there is a pain is a symptom on the outside. And you need to look at what is causing the pain. Because I would say, imagine your house. It is sophisticated with some of the best alarm system for detection of fire alarms. And imagine that somehow in your kitchen a fire breaks out. And of course, as a good alarm system, the alarm would go off and a bell or a sound would begin to blast out, and hopefully irritating enough that you would give attention to it. And imagine that you call the fire department, and here comes the fireman in your house, and he goes, oh, I agree that bell, that siren is so irritating. Let's put a wet towel around it so we don't hear it anymore. And once he's done that he says, okay, voila, your problem is fixed. Now I can go put out somebody else's fire. No, that is not the solution. Obviously, if you're no longer hearing the sound of the siren, if you no longer feel the pain, if that is all the doctor did, gave you a pain relief and didn't resolve the problem, then your kitchen is still on fire. And that is actually so dangerous it may burn down the whole house. No, he needs to, okay, he can switch off the alarm afterwards or before, it makes no difference. Then go in and look at the cause, and he needs to fix the cause within. And so it is with our life. If we want to fix things in our life, don't work on the outside, go inside and go fix the cause. Can you see how important it is to go to the cause? To remove discord, to remove disease, we must remove the cause. And the cause can be found only in the world within. This is true not only of disease in your body, it could be disease in your company, it could be disease in your relationships, it could be disease in any project you run. You will see at once that this is a radically new and different idea, that most people are trying to change the outside. They're trying to change the effects. And they're trying to do that by working with the outside, working with the effects. They fail to see that it is simply changing one form of distress for another. They put out one fire and they're creating another fire. They put out one symptom and they're creating another symptom. There is only one place to remove discord, disharmony, disease, That is, we must remove the cause. And this cause is only to be found in one place, and one place only, in sight, in the world, within, in our mind. All growth is from within. This is evident in all nature, in every plant, in every animal, every human. They are a living testimony to this great law. And the error of the ages is in looking for strength or power from without. Phew, such a powerful statement. The error of the ages is looking for strength or power from without. Isn't this at the core of every conflict, whether in relationships between parents and children, between people in relationships, between countries? The cause of war. James Redfield of the Celestine Prophecy said that all conflict comes from one wanting to steal the power of the other, or wanting to overpower the other. It's because they don't know about the power within. The error of the ages, says Charles Haanel, is in looking for strength or power on the outside. And we're still being fooled with that every day, with the majority of the therapies and the programs that are out there. Let's read the paragraph. All growth, all progress, all healing, all transformation is from within. That is evident in all nature. You can see it in every plant, you can see it in every animal, you can see it in every human, because they are a living testimony to this great law, the law of cause and effect. And the error of the ages, the biggest mistake, is by looking for power and strength on the outside. The world within is the universal fountain of supply, and the world without is the outlet of the stream. Our ability to receive depends upon our recognition of this universal fountain, this infinite energy, which each individual is an outlet of, and so is one with every other individual. Once again, same. He's so beautifully drilling this into our mind, isn't he? By repeating it, but yet it's almost like a diamond. You look at it from different facets. It's all the same diamond, but through shining in one more beam of light, you just make the diamond even brighter than before. The world within is the universal fountain of supply. So your inside, that is where the storehouse is at, of anything you need, anything you want. And your outside, the life around you, that is the outlet to the stream. The source on the inside, the stream on the outside. Our ability to receive, it's very important that we learn to receive it. Most people are already very equipped in their capacity to give, but we must also develop our ability to receive. It depends on recognizing, on knowing that universal fountain, this infinite energy of which each person is an outlet. And therefore each person is one with every other individual. We're all interconnected. Congratulations, because now you have completed class number 7, paragraph 34 to 39. And this is your second to the last class. There is only one more class to then complete the full chapter 1 of the Master Key System. Now let's listen again to these 6 paragraphs in this case, paragraph 34 to 39, and hopefully to discover that once again you have gained a deeper understanding and you're getting a clearer image of exactly what it is that Charles Haanel wanted you to get out of this course. The universal mind is the life principle of every atom which is in existence. Every atom continuously is striving to manifest more life. All are intelligent and all are seeking to carry out the purpose for which they were created. A majority of mankind lives in the world without. Few have found the world within. And yet it is the world within that makes the world without. It is therefore creative, and everything which you find in your world without has been created by you in the world within. This system will bring you into realization of power which will be yours when you understand this relation between the world without and the world within. The world within is the cause, and the world without the effect. To change the effect, you must change the cause. You will at once see that this is a radically new and different idea. Most men try to change effects by working with effects. They fail to see that this is simply changing one form of distress for another. To remove discord, we must remove the cause, and this cause can be found only in the world within. All growth is from within. This is evident in all nature. In every plant, every animal, every human is a living testimony to this great law. And the error of the ages is looking for strength or power from without. The world within is the universal fountain of supply. And the world without is the outlet to the stream. Our ability to receive depends upon our recognition of this universal fountain, this infinite energy of which each individual is an outlet, and so is one with every other individual. And well done. You have hereby completed class number 7, all 6 paragraphs. Hopefully they sounded a lot clearer to you now. And as is customary, you will go back as many times as you needed to gain satisfactory understanding. Don't be too easy on yourself to say, I don't really get it, but I'll move on. No. Establish the desire to really, really want to get it. And that'll drive you to want to go back and go back until you fully, completely understand it. Once again, make sure that you join the Facebook group for the VIP team, that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that you ask the person who's given you this gift here. I hope you come to see that these are not some silly stones, but these are precious diamonds, these classes. Not because I say so, but because Charles Haanel created a pearl. And this time we're going in deep enough to fully understand the value of this pearl. More so that you can create pearls in your own life. So, valuable gift. Therefore, ask for the link to the VIP team from the person who gave you this video. That link will allow you to take a tour. It's a free tour, but there's going to be a $5,000 demo gift that will be gifted to you to see how the university works on the inside. And one of the things that makes the VIP team superbly unique is we are the first university in the world that pays the student to study. So as you sweat through these classes here and you try to get understanding, how about that? That you get paid for doing that. That's what we offer with the VIP team. I do appreciate your interest. I appreciate your concentration. Most of all, I appreciate your willingness to improve your life. Blessings to you.